Today I'm going to talk about my stolen mail and my rerouted telephone. I had a family member steal money that was in an account for me from Fifth Third Bank. Now, I tried to call the bank several times, but when I call the number, it disconnects. And for years, I couldn't figure out why I couldn't get through this telephone number until I realized that somebody was inside my phone, hacked in, and they could block me from being able to call certain numbers because they have the same SIM card. Now, I can't tell you how many times I've seen messages come up, and the messages seem to be like from my sons, and then they quickly disappear and they're not in my message box. So then also voicemails, it says I get a message and then it disappears and there's no message. For a time, there was someone in my email chat. I don't use email chat. But it was coming up and they were talking in there and saying mean things to me, like something my sister would say. And I said, okay, I don't know what this is, but I'm going to close the chat because I don't need to hear this BS. So that happened. And my first Facebook that I opened, that was closed. And the minute I opened my second one, I had 400 people trying to add me as a friend, which I found very unusual. So I think I've got a bunch of fake friends on Facebook because I don't know half of them anyways. So then my mail, they started this thing, it's called informed mail. So when I get something, I know it's coming. It seemed like my mail's being rerouted because the one thing I got from OSHA, which was in Washington, D.C., or Washington State, I'm sorry, it never came. And then about 2 weeks later, it was like in my mailbox. But informed delivery is the day you get it, it's in your box. Always. I had it in Kentucky and I knew what was coming every day. So now all of a sudden, they're telling me, oh, well, that's not accurate. Sometimes it doesn't come for 2 weeks, blah, blah, blah. No. When I finally got this letter, it was a credit card application instead of a letter from OSHA. And I put in the address and it came up and said it was from OSHA. So I figured out that I actually had a blood test at OSHA in Ohio, where my doctor told me I had enough mercury in my body to kill a 1,000-pound elephant. And that he did not know how I was still alive. And let's not forget, the big sister worked for a dentist and had 17 mercury amalgams put in my mouth, which went through my gum, into my root, into my bloodstream. And I haven't been able to get them removed because The last time I went to a dentist, they tortured me and got it on film. Pulled my tooth with no Novocaine, and instead of pulling it, he took a chisel and punched my face, and my face was out to here. And then most recently I went to the dentist because I was in massive pain, and they took x-rays, and the tooth beside the one they pulled, the roots are twisted around where you can tell that my face was hit with force. The root and the tooth is turned around. Imagine how hard you have to be hit to have roots wrap around a tooth up here, like twisted around the, yeah. So that letter from OSHA was probably something that would have helped me, and maybe even a way that I could get it fixed, you know, without having to worry about being tortured. I showed my mouth to my doctor, and I believe they put in a thing to OSHA about it. And I've had many health problems because of what my sister did. It affected, for many years, my memory. It affected my thinking. It affected my reactions. It affected everything. And for those of you that don't know, mercury, a lot of dentists go insane because they use mercury. So I didn't go insane, and now the mercury is inactive. But I do believe a lot of the wrong decisions that I made were not only people being sent to me, but not actually what I would have done if I had my mind and not destroyed with mercury. And at one point they told me I had MS and that I would be in a wheelchair before I was 40. I am now 65 and I'm not in a wheelchair, and I'm far from it. But how do you get justice on someone who faked their death? See, when you do so many things to somebody, you've got to fake your death because you're going to get caught. Eventually, they're going to remember everything you did. From the mercury sandwiches she used to make me in her kitchen on my days off. And here I thought she was so sweet. And every time I ate at her house, I got massive diarrhea and sick to my stomach. And she would never let me watch her make the sandwich. She'd tell me to go sit down. So while I was heading over to the table, she was putting that mercury on the sandwich. I have had enough. I truly have. And until somebody wipes their ass and decides to apologize, I will not stop on getting justice. I don't even believe that the family that I was raised with is my real family. I believe that I'm owed a lot of money, and it's not just from 2009. It's from birth. And when I was 18, I was supposed to get something that I didn't get. Instead, I drove cars that were 20 years old or lived in crappy houses when I was supposed to have a mansion. But instead, my whole family lives in mansions. Isn't that a coincidence? I'm a very forgiving person, and I don't seek revenge. I just give it to God because He will take care of it. And until these people understand the magnitude of what they did, I won't shut up until they come out with the truth, because the truth shall set you free, remember? So, yeah. My entire so-called birth family that I was raised with, they don't call me, they don't check on me. And my sister bribed all my friends so I wouldn't have any. So, like, how unstable would I look? I don't have any friends. Well, guess what? My best friend is God, and He's going to be my best friend until the day I take my last breath. And as for these humans that decided to make my life difficult, I don't want them in my life. I don't want to be friends with people that can be bribed, because many have tried to bribe me, but I'm unbribable. Now, if you want to give me what I'm owed, that's not a bribe. If you want to sell your properties and your 12 cars. See, they got caught because when I went to the license bureau to get my plates up in Ohio, because Florida sent me something saying I had to return the plate and all of this, and try to say they were going to take my license in another state and blah, blah, blah. So I go up there to get my license plates so I can have insurance and license plates in the state I live in, right? The lady said to me, "Boy, you have a lot of cars." And I'm thinking to myself, no, that's my sister. She's pretending to be me. But I didn't say it, but I thought it, because I drive a 17-year-old car. And I have no hate in my heart for anyone. But boy, do they hate me for no reason. Nothing I've done constitutes what I've been through. I have not taken steps against them, and I hope that I don't have to. I hope that they can do the right thing and give me what they stole from me. And if they can't, then yeah, I'll let God handle it, but I might have to take action myself, because God could help orchestrate that. So, crime doesn't pay, and being honest is a virtue. One that the people I was raised with don't have. You have to have zero conscience to do what was done to me. Do you have any idea how many attempts were made on my life? And they're still happening. We're talking about a 50-year-old crime, the things that were done to me. From taking my boyfriend of 7 years away from me and devastating my heart and almost killing me because it was such a shock. Imagine having good times with someone and enjoying their company and loving them, and then just one day they said, "I'm not going to be able to see you anymore," with no explanation. And that was a bribe. But I seen the guy, like, in 2019, and I didn't even talk to him. I have no desire to talk to people that stepped on my heart. I don't care what the reason was or how much you were paid. When I'm done with someone. And there's a lot of people I've had to be done with because I figured out who they were. God shows me who people are, shows me their hearts, shows me their intentions, and eventually shows me what they were up to. But they've got to realize they're not stronger than God. The only way I survived 3 totaled cars without a scratch is through the grace of God. And when my van flipped over in 2002, and I said, Jesus, help me, my car slid on its side for 600 feet. My back door to my van didn't open, and I was going to not be able to get out of that car, and it probably was going to blow up. But I said, Jesus, help me, and my car came up on 4 wheels. And there were witnesses that said, how did you do that? How did you make your car come back up? And I said, I didn't. I said, Jesus, help me, and he did. He put my car on all 4 wheels. And even the police, they didn't believe that my car was ever on its side until they seen the side of it all caved in. And I was on my way to help my sister so she could go to a play for her daughter. I was trying to help someone. And like the saying goes, no good deed goes unpunished. Be careful who you help. Sometimes the people you think are your best friends will turn out to be your worst enemy. And those are my big sister's favorite words, because she knew all along she was going to turn every friend I ever had against me, and that's okay. Because it turned out I don't need them, and I don't need a friend. Because I know in my heart anyone that I meet is probably somebody sent to me from my crazy ass family to turn my life upside down. About, I don't know, I want to say about 10 people were sent to me, men, to destroy my life. She had prison pen pals, and she was taking pictures of me every time I came over and sending them to the prison inmates. When they got out of jail, I was their target. And it was supposed to destroy me, but it only made me stronger. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. With that, I will close. God bless, and good day.